Yeah.
comment down below. This is Matt Higgins from Axial Adventure.
Yeah. Hello. Thanks for having me on, Joe. Really appreciate it.
Dude, this is awesome. This is the first time I've ever done something like this. So, as far as like having a guest and somebody like you, man, you're like a legend.
I don't know about that part, but I am definitely honored to be here. Love your channel. Love what you do. One of the things I really love about your channel, and I'm sure a lot of people out there agree, is you have a great blend of high energy and still being down to earth, which is totally refreshing. And that's why I watch your videos. I said this to you before. I found you organically looking for content. It wasn't really work related. I just like the content, like the channel.
Well, dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and thank you guys for letting me work with you guys on this. Absolutely awesome. This is the new release for today. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a fully licensed Jeep CJ7. Also licensed trail armor. What's Genrite on that one?
Yeah, so Genrite's a big company that, like a lot of these more hardcore companies started as a fabricator. The stuff was so popular that they moved into more mass production, and they're different than like kind of the companies we grew up with. Skyjacker and Rancho and stuff like that was made mainly for 95% street use. Genrite and some of these other companies, like I said, they started as fabricators, but they're hardcore. Their stuff is as legit as it gets, and they were an awesome partner for this.
Dude, I like all the stuff, like the doors, all that, because I've already scraped this on a few rocks. I'm not even sure if I can even show it in here. So it is durable, and it can take some scraping. I know I've hit like the front fenders when I was up at Cherokee Rock Village. I've rolled it a few times, so it's holding up really well.
Yeah, I think it's also going to look cooler with wear because it is body armor, and that rock rash is going to look cool as opposed to a Lexan body, which because it's like basically a humongous clear coat. All Lexan body doesn't look as cool when it gets scratched up. This will look pretty awesome.
Yeah, and when we scale drivers, I see that was commented. Do you have any like scale drivers planned out for this that'll actually fit correctly?
No, it's not that that's not a possibility. But and it's something I like to do because then we could do things with the legs and arms to make sure it worked perfect. Like the hands fit on the steering wheel, the shifters. The problem is then it becomes down to like personal taste, like what people want. Do they want somebody who looks like they're in a racing suit? What kind of clothes? Do they want like clothing like the Losi bike? It becomes a little bit more tricky than let's just make a figure. We could come out with one and it can really only appeal to like 10% of the people who want driver figures, which is a pretty small segment, believe it or not, of the overall. So we've thought about it, we've talked about it. I just don't know if we will. We kind of some stuff's better left up to the aftermarket or people just finding what they like.
Right. I've been looking at those 3D scanners that you can actually print with. I've actually been looking at those. They're not too bad though. Some of them can get really pricey, but some of the more budget ones aren't bad at all, really.
No, that's changed a lot over the years. Believe me, the last 20 years and the last in the last 20 years, that whole thing's changed tremendously, and then a lot in the last few years. Whether it's 3D printers, scanners, laser etchers, all this stuff that you have to shop out, now you can have in your home easily.
Right. The printers and the printer tech, the filament has just came a long way, man. It
Yeah, the
really
materials.
has.
Yeah.
Hey, Clayton Best Weatherick has posted, "Hey Matt, if I get an axial tattoo, can I get one?"
We'll work out a deal. If I see a bona fide non-temporary tattoo, you will definitely be rewarded somehow, some way.
Well, I will tell you this: he is the only guy on the planet with an Exocaged tattoo. He's probably not joking.
No, I believe it. When I was at Car Action years ago, we had somebody show up at like RCX, or I think it was before that, but like iHobby trade show with a RC Car Action tattoo, which it blew my mind. I was like, dude, just buying the magazine's enough. A subscription you're my, hero. The tattoo is like way over the top. An axial one, I think, would make for an even cooler tattoo. If you're gonna get a tattoo, it's got a cool symbol. You could do something with it. But yeah, anybody gets a real one, non-temporary tattoo, we'll hook you up with something.
Well, all right, Clayton. Now, Almighty Great One commented, and he commented on my picture earlier about actual tenth scale.
Yes.
So
Awesome
he
topic.
says it's a little bit oversized, more like an 8 scale. So I mean, to me,
Yeah.
it looks pretty well proportioned, but
Yeah, it's about the proportions. So this is a can of worms. Let's open it.
okay.
So what this goes back to is this is a 10 scale platform. And you and I have talked offline. If you're talking, and this isn't derogatory, but if you're talking dollhouses or trains, scale means something totally different. If you're talking static models, you're making battleships or tanks or whatever, model cars, scale means something different. And even then, they cheat. But like trains and dollhouses are pretty spot on. For us, in all the manufacturers, scale really means the platform. So when it's 10 scale, it takes up approximately the same footprint as all the other 10 scale vehicles within reason, right?
Mhm.
The Gladiator is longer because the proportions would be wrong if it wasn't longer. But it uses 10 scale electronics. It uses typical standardized stuff for 10 scale besides electronics, like 12 millimeter hexes, the wheels, all this stuff. You have certain expectations because it's 10 scale. But if everything was made true to size for the scale, we'd have 36 scales.
Wow. Okay.
In the 10 scale family, you'd have 7 scale, 8 scale, 9 scale, 10 scale, 11 scale, 12 scale, which would all be the same platform, like all the same family, but they'd all, everything would be a different size. There'd be a lot of compatibility issues. I think everybody wants that, but for a manufacturer, for hobby stores, and a lot of end users, it would be a nightmare to have
Okay.
everything slightly different sizes. We'd have to have 12 different axles, even more links than we have, shock sizes, tire sizes. It's not as easy as people think, and you'd create more problems than you solve. So this is a 10 scale platform. You could use 10 scale electronics, all your 10 scale tires, bodies, all that stuff will fit, meet your expectations. You use it with other, you use it where you use 10 scale vehicles, right? Um, but it is, if you scaled it out, it's a little bit over, it's about seventh, eighth scale.
Gotcha.
It makes the tires are probably about 35-inch tall tires, which are really scale appropriate for what somebody would run on a CJ. I've had 2 CJs. The biggest tire I ever ran on one of my CJs was a 35.
Right.
I've run 40s on other vehicles,
Right.
with heavier duty axles and whatnot. It's really scale proportionate, this CJ. Um, the You really can't go by the wheelbase because this is based on a modern day, fully prepped CJ that has a slightly stretched wheelbase. If that makes sense. So like the
Yeah.
standard wheelbase, on these guys that are still running CJs where they 4-link conversion, Genrite makes the 4-link conversion. They do
Hmm.
stretch out especially the rear wheelbase, but they cheat the front a little bit too.
Right.
But so yeah, it works out to like seventh or eighth scale, probably more like eighth scale, considering that it's stretched. I get what people say. If we made it a true 10 scale, we'd have to have different. The frame rails we probably could have kept, but we'd have to make the frame narrower, so it would be different cross members. Price increase right there for you. The axles would have to be different because you really can't cheat the width with offset wheels. It just looks bad. It's a lot there. So basically, what people have to realize is in RC 10 scale, it really refers mostly to the platform.
Gotcha.
And this isn't something new we came up with. This goes all the way back to, remember, like the Tamiya, popular. We talked about this a little bit. The Tamiya Frog, right? 10 scale
Yes.
desert buggy. It's the exact same platform used for the Blackfoot, which is a 1980 to
Yes,
1986
it is.
F-150. Also,
Yes.
the exact same platform for the Subaru Brat. All those 3 vehicles are not the same size in real life,
Correct.
but we consider them all 10 scale.
Gotcha.
Because it's a 10 scale platform. You use 540 motor typically. You can use this type of servo, uh, and whatnot. But that's
I gotcha.
yeah. And again, I get it. Scale guys look at that differently. A basher doesn't care. They get by an 8th scale Creighton. 8th scale of what, anyways, right?
Yeah.
So bashers don't care. Scale guys get hung up on that. But just to kind of end, to a degree, the debate, it really is a 10 scale platform, not a spot on vehicle scale.
Gotcha.
Right.
I know that with this open design right here, I'm going to pull the body off of this real quick. I want to show a little bit about this. I mean, it comes with the dig on it. The dig
Yeah.
is already there. Everything is there. And one of the nice things that I like is, like for me, because we all know I drive one-handed, the little thumb drive.
Yeah,
That
people
is,
love that.
dude, it's so much more comfortable just drop your arm and drive when you're on a trail behind something like this. Then because if you're doing this for hours, man, you start getting a pump and you get fatigued. But this right here is awesome. And this button right here on this, I believe I can set this up. Now, this is for the dig, right?
Yes.
But you can also use this for like winching and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I haven't. So sometimes those switches, it's a momentary switch. You just got to make sure, like on a winch, I typically like a 3-position
yeah,
switch. I wouldn't want to recommend that until I tried it. To be honest, most of the times with these, so I don't have a dozen transmitters floating around. I transfer it to what like my rugged.
right,
So I often don't experiment with the RTR transmitters as much as I should. And this has come
right,
up before. I remember I was at Beat the Creek and somebody asked me a fairly basic question. I was like, dude, to be honest with you, like, um, I'm going through so many of these models. I usually just ditch the RTR and hook it up to my rugged or my pro. So I don't have deep knowledge on the RTR transmitters. Not like I should.
right. Usually, my transmitters are either the GT5, which
Hmm.
got the best gyro on the market, or my most recent favorite is the RC8X. They hold like
Right on.
200 models, dude. I love that radio, but in fact, it's right here. But it's not ergonomically correct enough like the GT5 is for racers.
Yeah.
So I tend to race with the GT5 and crawl with this.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah, the GT5 has got such better ergonomics, man, for me because when I race one-handed, I got to have all that. But with
You
the
race
body,
one-handed too?
I race one-handed. Yes, I race one-handed when I bash. When I'm driving the Raminator, when I was doing the Raminator backflips, that was all one-handed. Literally, one hand here and one hand here recording. No kidding. And
That's crazy.
when I'm racing on the track, I've done some videos where I had a camera out there on the track, and for some stupid reason, I always end up hanging this arm way out like that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I hang that arm way out there. But let's get some questions real quick, and I want to go over
Sure.
the body with you
Right
because
on.
there's a lot to this body, man. Clayton asked, "How big does the tattoo have to be?"
Oh.
Let me see. Dana Surratt, what's up, Mr. Higgins?
What's up?
Any plans for a new UMG 10?
Official plans, no. Talks, it's a popular thing that comes up. If I had my way, and I'll talk out of turn, this is not a Horizon approved statement. I
I
would
got
have Proline do the body. I don't think we need to do the vehicle. I think we have so many platforms out there. I think the best case scenario, and I would buy one instantly if Proline did a Unimog cab forward body. And I wish they do some of the molded accessories like these kind of, I'll call them hybrid bodies where it's partially Lexan or polycarbonate,
hmm
and then part injection molded parts. I think that's the best way to do bodies. I love hard bodies. There's a lot of compromise there. Um, these like this CJ body that's a hybrid. You know, it's got a ton of molded parts and it's mostly polycarbonate. It's the way to go.
Right. So this thing right here, man. There was one guy commented. It looks almost like you could do it, but are there any? This is for me. Are there any kits, or can the windshield be flipped down?
I haven't heard anything about that. I know there's going to be some guys making hood, you know,
The hood be great. That'll
modifications.
be sweet, man.
Yeah. So they'll, you know, the retainers, they'll probably 3D print new retainers
Hmm.
and do hinges, like working hinges, 3D printed. And
Hmm.
you'll have to carefully cut it. The windshield I haven't thought about. It's funny. I've owned
Yes.
four Jeeps in my life. I've never folded the windshield down other than to do maintenance on any of them.
Right.
It seems cool. I think my brother and I did it on. He had a Scrambler, CJ Scrambler. I think we did it once. I don't think we made it out of the neighborhood before we realized that was a poor idea.
My off-road truck one time, I was welding, putting a radiator, some tube work. It was an Exocaged on the truck, right? And one of the little weld spatter hit the rear window, busted the thing out. I mean, busted it out, right? And then, like 3 days later, me and the wife decided to take a drive with it with the window out. Dude,
Yeah.
that was not a good thing.
Yeah.
No, I turned around pretty quick. Plus, it was on 46-inch claws at the time.
Oh, that's
Not
okay.
really roadworthy.
Can't balance those, dude.
Man, they were on 15-inch wheels, so there was no way to balance these things.
Yeah, it's a lot of sidewall.
Yeah, man. So let me see. MCH, we need a 124 scale. Any plans for new 124s out there?
Again, I'll speak out of turn. This
You
is probably
can't.
not the.
Okay, yeah, let's
Yeah.
just scrap that one. Sorry about that.
No, no. Listen, everything is fair game. This is probably not the. I'll give you the best answer I can. It's probably not the only scale you'll see this in, based on the reaction we've gotten. We always do something like any brand. Listen, whether it's toothpaste, full size cars, or RC cars, sometimes you put a product out there, and what comes next is going to be based on the reaction that first one gets, right? So far, we've seen the reaction we really hoped. This has been embraced. You know, I'm a huge Jeep guy and a CJ guy too, because I'm old, right? But at the same time, I was a little bit worried. Part of me was that, like, is the CJ, like, is it too old? Like, will it be as popular as it is in my head? And it turns out it is. It's good. So I think you'll see more CJs.
Yeah, a lot of it is in the interior, and it's hard to show right here, but the doors are all molded. You know, that's
Mhm.
nice. The interior, the 3D. The one thing I did notice is on the chassis, they got a little side piece where you can put a battery. You can't really put a battery there because
Oh,
the
on the side one.
floorboards. You know, so you kind of got to use the battery position back here. I was trying to put the body on, like, what is up with this? Now I'm using like a little short battery, I guess something kind of similar to this.
And
So
it really, and it
using
was
that,
still, that's interesting.
yeah, it wouldn't fit into here. It was actually I'm trying to find, yeah, like a 1500 milliamp. So it wouldn't fit in there. So, but regardless of that, I mean, everything is here. I mean, you guys can see like the center console opens up. So, and I got to tell you about a joke I made. I had the Red Cat radio, I believe it was Red Cat, and had like a little storage chamber in the handle. So what I said was, you can store your Vienna sausages in there. And I've had people comment that before. And I'm like, oh man, I done started something that's going to go rotten.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
it's funny what sticks, man.
don't put Vienna sausages in here, guys. Don't do it. Maybe a lifesaver
Never
or
know when you need one.
or or a breath mint if you happen to be out there on the trail when you need to get up close.
Yeah, you know, nothing attracts attractive women like RC cars. So having a breath mint handy while you're out trail riding.
That is true. This is definitely a guy's hobby. This is definitely a guy's hobby, man. like show you guys that haven't seen it yet. Like some of the floorboard in there got 3 floor pedals. Uh, this is an automatic transmission. When I did my video, I said, "Oh man, it's got a clutch in it, but wait, it's got an automatic." So then I came up with like the line pressure release thing. I totally made that up right there. Like you could drop your line pressure and pop it like a manual transmission. So totally made that up on the spot.
So it's funny. So what I tell, same thing I told you, I told everyone, like, that's the emergency brake, because on these
Yes,
vehicles and some still new ones, they'll have the pedal emergency brake. The truth is, it is the exact same pedal arrangement found in the early Bronco, which was a manual. So in the Bronco, it is the clutch. In the CJ, it is the emergency brake. But it's the
gotcha.
same. It's the same molded part.
Same, yeah. So some of the guys are talking about the 124th, like getting a scrambler, um, like a scrambler body on the
Mhm.
124th stuff.
That'd be cool.
So I think it would be.
I'd be a fan. Yeah, scramblers are near and dear to my heart. We had one. Wish we still had it, but it was, it met its demise on a snowy New England road, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I had a
those
buddy.
are pretty cherry.
Yeah, I had a buddy when I was in it, and he had a scrambler and all that. But like what you were talking about with suspensions, most of the guys, like what you're talking about with the real Jeeps and all that, once they're done building it, usually it's like a frame left and most of the body.
Yeah.
The rest of it is all Chevy, 350, 60s, 14 bolts, and all that. At least the guys around me that I was messing with. I'm in
Mhm.
Florida, so mud is a big thing here,
Yeah.
but we used to always trailer up to places like Tellico, Jellicoe, out to Alabama, Morris Mountain, Chocolaco, things like that. We used to go play at. But now I'm into this stuff right here. So um, the servos, I've noticed this on some of the Arma stuff. They're going to 25 spline on the horns.
Yeah. So that's, we are. So this is the a migration.
I'm so happy
Uh,
to see that,
yeah,
man.
no, nobody needs to panic in hobby stores. It's not something that's going to like flip the switch and make anything obsolete overnight. Back in the day, and that day is not that long ago, there was 3 popular spline counts. That people like now complain that there's 2. I'm like, oh, you have no idea how hard life was back when there was 3 to pick from. Um, but we've realized this, people coming into the hobby, it's just more people are settling on that 25. So that's the way we're gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, when I was racing, you had 23 for like your spectrums and some of your stuff that I, Arma wasn't really big when I was racing. I think Arma just came into it, but
Yeah,
you had the 23 for your spectrum, the 24 for the high tech. They eventually
yeah,
went 25 spline, and then the 25 spline for pretty much everything else.
yeah.
So this helps us out on horns, all kinds of things.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be easier for everybody. But yeah, like back in the day, I ran a lot of high tech servos, but there was JRKO Pro, Aerotronics, Futaba, and everybody had different spine counts. And for the most part, it really doesn't matter. There's no advantage. It's not like axles, right? In the real world, I'm talking about axles in the real world, where like you want to go up the spline count as much as possible. This really doesn't matter. It's just about having something that's more industry standard. That's it.
Right.
One
Now,
is not better than the other.
on some radios, sometimes having 25 spines, which is a finer spine, you can adjust the horn in a smaller increment.
Yep, that's true. But we
So
have
that's
sub trim.
yeah, but we can usually trim that out.
Yeah,
Usually, I've had some where, man, it was for some reason I could not make the thing work. I mean, I had to make all this stuff and all that, but that's kind of a rare thing. But yeah,
yeah,
sub trims and then the trims themselves.
yeah. And what's funny is like I don't even use trims anymore. I just sub trim. These servos have so much better zeroing, centering. and holding power. Yeah, if you properly install it, use your sub trims, and so it's sub trim and endpoints for me. I don't use trims, but usually you get it pretty done. But you're right. The smaller the count, I mean, the larger the count, the smaller the splines. You have a finer adjustment, which I guess with some radios is helpful. But if you're using a computerized radio, it
Right.
shouldn't matter.
Well, basically, all of these can take care of that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there was one vehicle, maybe it was a fifth scale, because they got like 13 or 15 splines on those.
Yeah.
That's a big jump. Maybe it was a fifth scale I was messing with, but I do remember that. Now, in the book, I believe the slots on the seats, they're meant for a harness that we can get, correct?
Yeah, we're not going to sell the harness, but it's we kind of figured the aftermarket will come in there, but it's like a 5-point harness if you want that.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that I like that in there. I can when this thing really makes it out and all the scale guys get it. Talking scale, of course, we didn't know all that. But with it being open like this, man, they're gonna have the steering wheel set up on a servo so it turns with the wheels. They're gonna have all of this stuff moving in here, and it's gonna be awesome to see, just like with the SEX6, which is still picking up steam, at least around here. When I was at the USTE, I believe you were there at the last one. Some of the SEX6s, man, they were really decked out, man.
Yeah, it's a great, like, canvas, right? Because it's bigger and easier.
Right.
So I think it's gonna be cool when people do start migrating to that and tricking them out. A lot of it's been focused on performance, right? Like better tires, inserts, stuff like that. But once people get squared away with that, I think you're going to see a lot more decked out ones. And like I said, what a great canvas! Because you can do crazy stuff with the body and something that big. Easy to
Right.
do hinges, opening doors, nice interiors.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, one guy mentioned RC Daily 3D printed hard tops.
Mhm.
So I would at best maybe do a rag top on this.
Yeah, and you'll
Me,
see people making them. They made them for Axial vehicles in the past. Guys made some really nice ones. Hand sewn, a little bit of wire in them to give that ridge that the soft tops have. Um, I know people have been talking about lit dashes.
yes.
Uh,
Oh yeah. With that being a flat panel in there and it looks like it's all molded, we can take that apart. Yeah, there's gonna be some skill stuff in here, man. And if they like this originally, like what it is scale, then you're gonna have one tiny little light bulb shining up onto the gauge,
yeah,
because they didn't have gauges that were full like computer
no,
screens like what we have in our
Mm,
stuff now. You got like a gauge, auto light gauge with a single light shining up into there.
no.
So if they can replicate that, that'll be sweet. So definitely looking for that. And also the little cups and stuff like that. I guess I need to glue those in place. I've got them around here somewhere. But the tires, these are also actually licensed tires, correct?
Yes. So licensed Mickey Thompson Baja Boss tires, which is a really popular off-road tire. It's a unique tread in the fact that it's asymmetrical, non-directional, or like if you look at it,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a little bit different tread pattern than typically see. It's not really a directional, but it's not, or I guess it's non-symmetrical, and not a directional. But it's different when you look at the front, the left and the rights. But
Correct.
it's the way
It's
it
like
is
a
in real life.
it's like a inside and an outside,
Yep.
basically. So, and the R35 compound, from what I've been able to drive with this thing so far, and I've had it at Cherokee Rock Village, which it was a close call there. Guy came walking up. Luckily, I had this in the back of the car, man. But that was a close call on that one. But I went like on a Monday and a Tuesday when there would be nobody there. So it worked out pretty good. KLC Ken is asking, will the CJ body fit on the JL SCX 10.3? I'm assuming the JLU.
Yeah. So yes, it will, but you'll need the bumpers slash
Different body.
um end caps. So like the chassis end pieces, if you look, the body mounts that are incorporated in are different than the previous ones. So you need those, and then
Mm-hmm.
the body and the inner fender liners are different to match the body, of course.
Right.
It is totally doable. I think most people are just going to buy the whole SDX10 and use this as a new platform to build from. This CJ, buy the whole thing and build from it. We will
Correct.
obviously sell all these pieces separately, and people will do that. But you can't just buy just the body. You need those body mount / end cap bumpers.
Now, for the builders that want just the body, will there
Hmm.
be like a complete kit that they can purchase clear? Like
Yes.
the whole thing, they can purchase and build it how they want.
Yep. Yes, sir. Let me hold on one second. I got my computer here, so I'll tell you what that's going to look like or be. I don't
All
think we have
right.
the photo up yet. But bear with me for 1 second. That's a great question. So the cage will be sold separately. Um, the doors, the corners, and then the hinges. No, not the body armor corners, but the part of the doors. That's going to be sold separately. The rock sliders will be sold separately because a lot of those we're selling these as wear replacement parts.
Right.
The bumpers, front and rear, so you'll definitely need those. The headlights and taillights are sold separately. The body set is going to be $84.99 for the polycarbonate body, licensed polycarbonate body. That comes with some molded pieces. So that's why it's that high. I don't have the image in front of me. Uh, Let me see if I could find it so I could tell you what it will probably come with. But don't think like that's not just the polycarbonate.
Right.
Um, so
Because I can definitely see them wanting just the body to build it on other platforms and stuff like that because the body's
oh,
very
definitely,
nice. So,
yeah.
while you're
I'm
looking
I'm
that
putting
up,
one on a pro
I
with
I saw some guy ask about that, wanting to put one on a pro. I think I posted on my Facebook. They want to put on a pro. I mean, I got my pro sitting up there. I could bring it down here and test real quick if you guys want to see.
yeah, the big deal is in working out the body mounts, but
Yeah.
if you want to slay class one, man. So yeah, so the body looks like it's all the polycarbonate interior and exterior pieces in a complete decal set for both the two different versions we're selling. The body armor must come in a different. I'll have to look up, but then all the interior pieces come in another set, like the seats, center console, the mirrors, which I guess aren't an interior set, steering wheel, all that stuff. So you could piece it all together, absolutely. Um, it's not, if you're like if you're building a project, it's cost effective to do it that way. If you don't already have a vehicle, it's definitely not the most cost effective way to do it.
Correct. So there were some comments on, will the Spectrum 2-in-1 1400 kV fit this truck? I believe it will
I
because the
believe it will
Spectrum
too.
is the same size as the Fusions and they fit.
Yep. Yep.
So guys was asking, is it going to be offered in a kit?
It's possible.
Possible.
That's not like a hint or anything like that. It depends. Like people are really got to think about how the kit market's been working lately. We offer kits because people want kits. That's why we offer kits, not because we sell a ton of them. The RTRs outsell kits, hands down. Not contest, not even remotely a contest. But we have the Base Camp Builders Kit, which is a very cost-effective way to get a kit that doesn't come with the body and stuff. I don't know if we'd offer this as a kit like we have in the past, where it's exactly the same but in kit form.
Right?
Um, so is that your Pro?
No, I've already showed the Pro. This is the
Oh,
Bronco.
the Bronco.
And
Yeah, the Bronco should be pretty straightforward.
yeah, the fenders and all that got to be changed, just like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a few vehicles. I figured I'd show them off a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when you guys had these things on that super sale, I still have a brand new one in the box.
Yeah, I'd hold
Same
on to
color,
that.
brand new in the box. I'm like, look, I had to buy another one. I think I bought like 2 or 3 when they were on that sale. So yeah, I got a brand new one in the box. Now, there's something that I would like to see here. Dudes, any way that we can get a race camp, I would love to see this. You got all the drive line, everything you need. It's all there. The biggest thing would be engineering a chassis that can take 20-foot high jumps.
Yeah.
Look at what I had to do to this thing.
That's awesome, though.
But just normal rift. I mean, they still have the diffs in them. Still has a base camp transmission. Castle Power, the 525 Pro line Hyrax. I mean, I would love to see this available, man. Just as a big basher truck.
Yeah. We have our hands full developing the bashers on the ARMA side. We've had some stuff just knocked it out of the park lately with the Gorgon and Granite
Gorgon
Grom,
is awesome.
especially, yeah. So it would be a tough sell. As soon as I started saying the word basher, they'd be like ARMA. So it'd be a tough sell. And we have the beams from Proline, which I think a lot of the people that might appeal, you know how I love that bash comp. Love it. But I think a lot of the people that find that appealing will really find the conversion kit, the I-beams, or the beams, not I-beam, conversion kit.
I've got that here. I haven't had a chance to start on it yet, but I have an idea. I'm going to use a 10-3 portal rear on a $16 chassis, carbon chassis, so long as all this fits, and put like a body on or something. But the goal is I'm going to use a 1/8 scale motor with a 5mm shaft with a drive shaft on it.
You're going to break some stuff.
It's going to be direct to the rear axle.
You're not messing around. You're going to break some carbon fiber chassis. Yeah.
With sand paddles, buddy. I think it'll be awesome. I mean, I'm using censored stuff, so it should be okay. And with the gear reduction of the portal, it'll be better than a straight axle.
Yeah, just don't stand behind it. Or get some big safety glasses.
It depends. Sometimes when you get down behind it with a slow-mo camera, you can see the dirt particles come by like stars in Star Wars.
Star Wars when they get warp speed.
Man, it's awesome. Speaking of bashers now, actually, will there ever be a Rift-like cage for the SEX6? Basically like a SEX6 bouncer. That one, which, I mean, I've got mine built by Addictive RC, SEX6 bouncer. He's asking about that. Any chance of Hellraiser, any chance of a 1/6 scale Gorgon 4-wheel drive? That would be a monster.
I haven't heard that. Yeah, most of this stuff we've talked, like a lot of this stuff people ask about, we've talked about. Like we have the same ideas and we, bat them around. A lot of collaboration on the Axial team, which is awesome. But that is one in all the meetings I've attended. I haven't heard anything large scale Gorgon. They make some pretty big ARMA stuff. But what makes the Gorgon special is it's very affordable and very durable.
Dude.
So we'll probably stick to that recipe for that.
I mean, basically, in my opinion, man, with the Gorgon out here, the Stampede's history. I mean, that Gorgon, man, is strong enough. The gears are like this wide, 22mm wide gears in that thing, man. I have a Spectrum takeout system off of one of my trucks I took out of 3800 kV Spectrum ESC. It's almost all Spectrum. I think I did put a GT5 in it. I also put the bike radio with the wheelie thing in it. That was awesome to see. But yeah, dude, that thing, the more power you put to it, the better it is. Wheelie bars. Are there any wheelie bars to fit that thing, or do we got to get creative?
That I don't know. For now, I would get creative. Hopefully, people, uh, the aftermarket embraces that product, which I really think they should. And they start offering stuff like that, different, wheelie bars, different bumpers, different, you know, body mounts. A lot of potential there because, there's going to be a lot. There already are a lot of those out there.
Right.
Um, I've gone into hobby stores here. Anderson RC is a big hobby store in North Carolina, and you just while you're standing there, you see people coming in and buying those. A lot of fathers and sons. They look around. They settle on that. It looks the part. It's cool looking.
Yeah.
It's not dated looking. It's not like some of this other stuff that it was competing with was starting to show its age. You can only put so many wild multicolor paint jobs on the same old truck.
Yeah.
This thing looks more contemporary. It's got styling that I think appeals to people from my age down to it's a target audience. And the price is killer. So I just see people, leaving the hobby store with these things, and like we had last time I was there, they had an event going on. People were buying them and bashing them right in the parking lot on big jumps.
Yeah. Just send that thing, man. It's tough. Now the brush motor is a little bit slow,
Hmm.
but man, the truck just begs for power, though. It really
Yeah,
does.
they can handle a lot more, and those are always tough calls. For me, I like to make everything scream out of the box, but for a lot of that target audience, that motor makes sense. Most people are so clueless when they drive RC cars for the first time, and that's not a dig. It's just the way it works.
Right.
It's kind of good as they're driving away full throttle, then they turn around, they roll it 3 times. Now they're driving back towards them full throttle, and the first thing they do is turn the wrong direction right into a tree or a curb.
My
So
issue is I'm really good at aiming for myself. And I
target fixation.
and yeah, exactly, man. And my DBXLE, that thing has tried to kill me at least 4 times.
That's a good
That's
choice.
I have had to run for cover a few times off of that thing, man. That's a
You'll feel
lot.
that.
Plus, it's 12S now, dude.
Oof, it's
That
going
thing,
fast and heavy.
dude. Yeah, it really is. So, like the Gorgon platform, Benjamin asked, Rustler version of the Gorgon for jumping. So, like a short course truck using the Gorgon platform.
Yeah, use your imagination, man.
I think that'd be
Um,
awesome. So,
yeah, I'm like stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Like it makes a lot of sense. So
yeah. But
yeah.
anyway, we've got off on the bashing here.
That's I love bashing and I love racing and I love rock and roll. So I'll talk about all.
Yeah, I just like the Gorgon platform, like especially the rear end design is just so beefy. The motor's down low.
Yeah.
So much can be done with that system, that platform. So I did see some guy ask about. Oh, good question, Matt Jacobus. I'll ask about that one too. A guy asked about is I'm not sure why you would want a Portal version of this, but Portal 10.3. I mean, to me, that portals are not really scaled when you're looking at the scale aspect of the CJ.
Yeah. Listen, you can people do whatever they want. Do whatever they
Right,
want. It's
right.
blasphemy to put portals on a CJ, but do whatever you want, man.
Yep. Um, the laser nut. I've heard mixed reports on this one. Did they I believe they updated the bulkheads in the laser nut and the axles.
Yeah, I
This
think
is
it's
an
a
older
running
vehicle.
change. Yeah. I'm not really good on the laser nut. That's not something, as far as what I know, they've upgraded, but I can't really tell you that much about it. So
Gotcha.
there's better people to answer those questions than me.
I got you. Well, we have 15 minutes left. We're just going to go for an hour tonight.
All
There's
right.
no point in and dragging you out for 2 hours and all that stuff. But regardless of that, this right here. So I mean, these are actual legit beadlock wheels too.
Yes. Yep.
So legit beadlock wheels. In my opinion, the speed on this is actually pretty accurate as far as for what it is. And so far, I've only driven it in box stock form. I mean, I have done nothing to this, and I've taken it around Cherokee Rock Village. I've driven it here, all kinds of places, and no issues at all with it. But we're going to modify this thing, right?
Yeah, listen, it's gonna surprise a lot of people. It's not gonna be top heavy. Like, it's a scale vehicle. It'll be, as top heavy as you'd expect, but it's not gonna be tipping over. It doesn't have a bad CG, despite all the scale and the molded parts. But you start adding, like, if you get the brass knuckles for the Pro, they fit this.
Okay.
That's perfect weight, so that's weight that's really low and really far out. There's some tweaks like that you could do to really increase the performance with a little bit of adjustability. The Pro, and I haven't tried this yet. I've done this to a bunch of base camps, but those Pro high clearance rear links, put those on. It's
They fit.
not
They bolt right on this.
They bolt right on the base camp, so I don't see why they wouldn't. You might have some adjustability to get your wheelbase where you want it, right?
Okay.
Because technically the Pro is a 12.5 wheelbase. But like I said, I run those on 2 base camps with no issues.
Okay.
Um, but people will start experimenting with this stuff, and then you'll start getting a lot of performance. Take the shocks, move the lower mounts down to the link mounts.
That way, it'll bring the whole thing down.
Yeah, or put shorter shocks on. I'm gonna swap the shocks out.
Somebody mentioned these are 100 millimeter shocks. Is that the case?
Yeah, they should be the 100 millimeter. I'd want to confirm that. I should know that off the top of my head. But what you could do is, no matter what, free mod, mount them to the rear, the lower link mounts. That should be about a 5 millimeter difference in ride height right there.
Gotcha. I might do that. Now, with the chassis and all being basically the 10.3 that we've already seen, as
Yep.
far as like the driveline and all that, the beauty is there is so many parts available for this. It's sometimes when you get an all brand, because we all want a total brand new vehicle, bumper to bumper, everything. But when those get released, there's almost no parts. And sure enough, we're going to break the part that's got a 2-month backlog on.
Yeah.
So, but with this right here, you take it out and you spin a drive shaft off where they're just standard drive shafts at this point in time. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the standard. Yeah.
Axles, gears, you can under drive these things at this point in time, so you can get that on there. I mean, it has the dig. So, I mean, really, it's a good solid platform to build off of, honestly.
Yeah, it's been really popular. It's been well supported, and actually, we love the aftermarket industry out there. We know the customer. Everybody likes to have a vehicle that's their own. You want to buy it, you want to make it your own. I don't know anybody who drives stock Axial rigs. They're changing this or that. They're making it unique. So we love the aftermarket and all these companies that, there's some great stuff out there. You have DSM Off Road makes awesome stuff for Axial products. Team Garage Hack, awesome stuff. And I could go on and on. Like, there's a ton of them.
Right.
And there you could just go any direction you want. Somebody online was asking today, is the base camp a comp, or is it a comp vehicle or a trail rig? And I was like, it's whatever you want it to be.
Right.
You can go in any direction you want. Put a Proline Coyote body on it. Put some comp tires. work on the suspension a little bit, you got a comp rig, low budget comp rig. Put a scale body on it, put some aluminum wheels, you have a trail rig.
Correct. That's some that's something really nice about the Pro. But I do see a comment here: 2-speed or dig. Benjamin, this is got the dig unit on it. This doesn't have the 2-speed, but will the 2-speed transmission bolt into here?
The 2-speed's there. Look at the arm. It's locked in low.
Oh, I see.
So if you wanted 2-speed, take that servo out, move it there.
Dude, that is nice to see. Okay, so Benjamin, great question. Yeah, it's got the full 2-speed in it. That's awesome. I did not see that when I was going through this thing. Did not. That's nice to see right there. All right. Heck. Pretty darn awesome, man. I did not know that.
Yeah, so the reason there is, if we wanted to have both, then we have to have a 4 or more channel radio. We know people like we don't want to charge people for things they may not use. So you have the total potential to upgrade. If you rather have 2-speed instead of dig, just switch the stuff. We found that most people found the dig more advantageous than the 2-speed.
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
There is
So
a difference. Like if you people are like, oh, the gearing isn't that big of a difference. There is in the top speed. If you're doing trails, it is nice to have that 2-speed when you can go
mhm,
slightly faster than a slow walk and then the downshift. But what we really found is most people keep it in low gear and make better use of the dig. So if we had a pick,
correct.
which we did, we went with the dig.
So cool. So all that's in there. That's nice to see. So guys asking about the shock towers.
Mhm.
Uh, they appear to be normal 10-3 shock towers. So any aftermarket shock tower will go right on this, correct?
That is correct if they're the same geometry. Now, if you want to switch to, say, a popular company like RC Rock Pirates, right?
RC Rock Pirates was asked that name. Yes.
You'll have fitment issues with the inner fender wells.
Okay.
But if you're then say you're getting those shock towers, which I run on a couple of vehicles, they work awesome. You're starting to go more towards performance. You might give up a little bit of scale and be willing to trim your fenders, inner fenders.
Right. Okay.
Federal wells. But will they? To answer your question, will all of them bolt right on? No. Some of those really popular ones won't. But you can make anything work. If you're into rock crawling, you're used to making stuff work.
Correct. Correct. That's the beauty of rock crawlers, man. Like I used to do this kind of stuff. I was actually in the vehicle, real rock crawling, and
Mhm.
you build them from the ground up. And the thing with a crawler is you can totally build this off of a set of axles.
Mhm.
You can build it from the ground up. Like when it comes to racers and bashers, usually you buy it and you bolt in this, you bolt in that, and you go have fun with it. But with a crawler, you can actually build it. I'm talking like your suspension geometry, where you want the weight, where you want to put the motor, all the front motor kits. I mean, this one's up front right here, just like your other 10-3s are. So,
Mhm.
I mean, all the forward motor transmissions. So, I mean, that's the thing about crawlers, man. You got so many shocks you can choose, everything, man.
Yeah. And I know I have a sample here. The one I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh mine, and then I'm going to install the Team Garage Hack transmission, not their lightest weight one, their aluminum one that's relatively sealed that you'd
Hmm.
use in a trail scale rig, not a comp rig, and install that. Do some test running with it. I know for a fact it's going to be a huge weight reduction. It's going to move a lot of weight around, but I'll gain when I put brass knuckles on it. I'll gain some of that forward, bias back. But there's just so much potential. Um, with what you could do with a rig like this.
Yeah, it really is. So, let's see. Yes, I do believe the Trio towers will fit. If it's a stock replacement design, yes, they will fit.
Mhm.
Uh, can the dig function also be put in neutral? guess you would want to maybe let the front. I would have to say yeah, because usually there's enough slop in there that you can actually put neutral if you have a 3-position
Mhm.
switch on
That's the
that.
way to do it. Yeah. So
So,
yeah, 3-position switch, a little bit of time spent at the transmitter,
hmm
not at the vehicle, and you could do it if that's what you want to do.
correct. So let me see.
Yeah, most of the time I do that by accident, and then I have to go back in and adjust some endpoints. But if
yeah,
you want to do that, it's doable.
but what's nice if your radio is set up for it, if your radio always turns on to neutral, and I've mentioned this in some of my videos, like say you're driving and you're in high gear, you turn
Hmm.
everything off and you go to turn it back on, and the radio tries to go into low gear, but the teeth aren't messed up. I've said this while you're sitting there talking all your smack, having a good time, your servo is bound and burning up.
Yeah,
So if the transmitter goes to a neutral state, man, you can sit there and talk all day long. So
that's a good point. Never really thought about that.
yeah, not all radios will do that though.
Hmm.
You know, like this right here. If you have a knob turned for this model, and then you switch over to this model, that was on something on the other one. Now it's going to go to wherever this knob is at. You
Yes.
see what I'm saying? So, but regardless of all that, we're down to about 4 minutes on this one right here. Let me see what we got here. Let me see. Towers. Yep, we all know Vidavon has stuff. I've actually got something I'm tempted to put on here. I got these axle housings. These are
Nice.
the titanium ones.
Really?
Yes, I'm tempted to put these on here. So they come with a 6 millimeter stub axle on here as well. So they are beefy. So I forget
Okay.
what I had those on and took them off of, but there they are. Move that motor way down low. Not that I know a lot about the aftermarket stuff. Footprints, the Bronco model will have to get this. Okay.
Mhm.
Diff lockers, they're just spools. So
Yes, there's spools. In when you're using your vehicle and you're doing a lot of hardcore stuff, the fewer moving parts, the fewer parts that can break. That's the rule of full size. That's the rule of RC. That's a cool novelty. We've never really thought it was worthwhile going there.
it's neat to mess around with to
Hmm.
see the difference between an open diff and a lock diff.
Sure.
And it's exactly what you think it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. Um, the guy's asking, and you probably can't say this, but any hints for a new Capra or anything using those axles or anything?
Using Capra axles.
Yeah, the Capra axle, the Capra portals and stuff like that.
Well, Capra's not. Yeah, Capra's not going away.
Cool.
Four-wheel steer Capra's so popular, and it's so freaking capable. People are like, we have all these good rock crawlers, and then people get a Capra and they're like, oh my god, like it's cheat mode. And then they start modifying that, and it's ridiculous. So yeah, the Capra is not going away. We've settled on the four-wheel steer because it's just overwhelmingly more popular. Um, but yeah, it's not going away.
Cool. All right. So guys, Capra is here to stay. And RC Daily, he was actually the one that sent me these axles. I'm not sure why you sent them to me, but I still got them. They might go on something. I tend to hang on to things like that. I'm kind of a RC hoarder, as some people would say. I've got like almost 20 of these things now.
Very cool, man.
So we got about 1 minute to go, and we are about to do Capra four-wheel steers have dig 2. I believe it's locked out, isn't it? The dig feature on the four-wheel steer Capra. I think it's just locked into drive, isn't it? Oh, must have lost signal there, or I'm losing signal. But regardless of all that, hopefully he comes back here. But anyway, 9 o'clock is here. Hopefully I was good enough at answering questions and all that stuff. Sporty people do build sporties out of the Capra stuff. So I've got other videos on this right here that are set to come up. In fact, channel members, you guys have a couple videos on this, so they'll be coming up tomorrow. And yeah, I'm assuming we lost him due to signal or something in the way. He doesn't typically stare at the wall for that long. All right, guys. Yep, he had to. He lost his service. Anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the live. I mean, he was here all the way through the full hour. This thing right here, I do want to do some stuff to it, like these right here. I got a couple Fusion. I got a Fusion SE 1800, a Fusion 2300 kV as well. So I definitely want to do some stuff here. The radio, for what this is actually plenty good enough. But when you go to the 2-speed or a winch, at that point you're going to need more buttons and stuff. But if I don't go that far with it, but honestly, for all of us older guys out here, I got to tell you, this vehicle right here needs a scaled, worn 8274 on it, doesn't it? This literally needs an 8274. That's the winch it needs. So I'll probably go order that from RC 4-wheel drive because they're the ones that make this thing. So that would be like the perfect thing for this. And also, if I do happen to get a scanner, because I want to get a 3D scanner, get a 3D scanner, I could probably like scan some parts and stuff, put STLs up. So, but if he blinks, I'm gonna buy a Pro like that. Let me see, 2-speed, keep the dig and run it. See, if I do the 2-speed on it, then yeah, I will definitely switch to a different radio. And possibly I'll probably go with the 8X, just because you can get momentary right here. You know, I mean, granted, when you're doing all that stuff, it takes 2 hands to drive. So anyway, all right, guys, it has been an absolute awesome live. Hopefully I didn't miss too many questions. I tried to catch you guys as much as I could on there. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this one. You guys are awesome. And with any luck, I'll actually see you guys next Tuesday. With some luck. Guys, have a great day. And like, I've been noticing you guys are kind of liking my little food stuff at the end of my videos. Some of that stuff is kind of cheap, but good. All right, let me get out of here. Yeah, I have links on the thing. If you go to the Facebook, I've got links on there. Also in the videos, if you look at them, if you look at the thing that says show more or more, I've got links to it all right there where you can pre-order them. But guys, you guys have been awesome, and I will catch you guys later. Have a great one.